college in New York City in technology, and my major was applied math. And the title of my poster is How Can the Peer Leader Increase Students' Deep Learning in a Mathematics Workshop. So I was trying to also relate this in a general case. So after I got everything said and done, I was trying to say, okay, so how would this increase students' deep learning in general? So that was what I was trying to head towards. So there's many different things such as deep learning, surface learning, strategic learning that I've learned through these references. And so essentially it is a student's thought. It's their decision ultimately to choose between either deep learning or surface learning, and deep learning is more like a serious kind of mentality, while surface is sort of just memorizing the concepts, not thinking too much of it, and they might not reflect on it as well. So that's what deep learning promotes. And
why would that be important in workshop?
So it would be important in the workshop and also in the workplace, because then they take things more seriously and they are able to think on their feet, and because of this information that they get, they're able to then make connections to either the subject or their workplace, whatever it is.
Okay.
So students may think that they have like hereditary traits such as, oh, I'm too old for this, I can't do it. And so studies show that with just practice and experience, they can get back on track and perform much better than they thought originally.
Okay.
So in the workshop, I used a more teacher focus, so it's just kind of like a complete the syllabus mentality where you.
So you had gone in as a peer leader thinking that that's what you had to do.
Right.
Okay.
So originally I thought, okay, so we have to cover all of these topics that are presented in the module, and they just need to tough it out and solve them as much as possible, because they probably won't do it afterwards. But actually, a content-oriented approach, which in Twistle is shown, is that it would be better to then focus on perhaps one problem or a general case. And so the general case was, what is the area? And of course, then they would choose, I would choose like variables. And so instead of variables, they can use real numbers that make sense to them in such a way that they can solve the problem. So,
which is the area of a parallelogram.
Right,
okay.
Of course. And but this could be an approach to many different areas of math. But yes, essentially instead of using, so you start with variables first, which would then establish a general case, and then they would be able to then see, oh, this can apply to different kinds of shapes as well. And so, and that was how I approached it as an intervention. Because when they were using the other approach, well when I was having an environment that was complete syllabus, they were having like chat or whatever, talking about world events. But when I established a more content-oriented approach, which was this general case, they were all standing, they were all trying to figure out how to...
At the board?
Right, so they were at the board and then they were trying to figure it out. And so, but what happened was that in the end they were saying, oh, this was great, love to do this again. But what happened was they were saying that they were more in tune to then do more group work outside. And so that was great to see, because initially they were saying, oh, I can't do this, this isn't my forte. And so it was great to see them have a different change of heart.
Okay. Now, I'm kind of guessing that not only did they have a change of heart or change of an approach, but
Right.
you also did.
Right. So I would then, as not only a peer leader, but as a student, I would see the kind of differences that would happen. And also, interestingly enough, It is actually harder to go towards a deep learning mentality when you use a teacher-focused or complete syllabus environment. It would involve much more steps than if you used a student-focused learning-oriented. As simply the student is, does the student get it? Do you get it? No? Then, yeah, so we have to make sure that the student gets it. And once they get that general case, then they can then apply it. And
so, in a way, what you're suggesting is that workshop cuts a lot of steps out so that students can understand better.
Right, so...
Faster, I don't know.
Well, it's definitely a different change of pace of what they may be used to. So...
Has this changed your thinking about your own studying?
Yes. I would then be more focused on understanding and reflecting upon what's going on, as opposed to just simple memorization of formulas. So me being, of course, a math major, it's so easy to just say, okay, what are the formulas? Let me just plug it in, and let me just remember where things are plugged in order to arrive to the answer, and then I'll get hundreds on top. Well, that's considered a apathetic learning strategy. So that's definitely something that should not be used in this case, because it wouldn't provide long-lasting retention of the knowledge. So you probably would forget it a year or two later. While I think when I was younger, I probably did a more student-focused, or I was in a more student-focused environment, because I would learn more. And I still remember a lot of the basics. Right.
So what was the hardest part about doing this poster?
It wasn't entirely hard. It was just a matter of finding the time, because I work now and I'm also a full-time student. So it's very difficult to find the time, because I'm very interested in this subject and there's still a lot to learn. And so everything worked out, and I think...
Which side did you start on? Where did you start? Did you start with the literature? Did you start with the observations? Did you...
Well, I first thought about what was happening in the actual workshop, and with that, then I pieced together, okay, so this is what's happening. So I saw what was happening in the workshop. They were having chatter, and they were sitting, and they were just kind of copy-pasting their notes to solve the problem, as opposed to thinking about it in a logical sense. So it would be important as a peer leader also to ask the important questions, because you want them to be engaged with each other. It's not necessarily you telling them how to do things. So you would encourage them to use their notes and such, so that they get on track. So when they're alone, they can then look at their own notes, and right before the test they say, what did I do with the group? And so they say, okay, oh great, so this is what I did, so now I can do it again, even if it's 10-20 minutes before a test. It would just help jog their memory. Okay, go through all the steps, and then this would hopefully then allow them to perform well in the workplace as well, because when they're able to have these group work activities and socialize, it would get them more motivated to think more seriously about things. So. Okay.
So is this your first poster?
Yes, this is my first
and
poster.
And it wasn't so bad, was it?
It wasn't too bad.
Thank you very much.
You.